Hello everyone, welcome to this channel. I am Dr. Balaji, working as a professor, Department of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science in Kamaraj College of Engineering and Technology, Virudhunagar. So in these channels, I am going to present the robotic process automation systems. That is what is simply called as the RPA. Today, the scenario, the industry revolution, the 5.0, they are expecting what kind of work reduction process, especially for to avoid the redundancy of the process. So that's what we are connected with the robotic process automation systems. So in this connection, I just mentioned for somewhat why RPA we are using. So what is the purpose of RPA we need to connect. That's what I just mentioned for enhanced operational efficiency of the process, and then cost reduction of the process, and increased data accuracy of the process, and employee productivity, and then connection of the enhancement of the systems. So this is what we are using the RPA system. So before going to in RPA process, in a traditional way of automations, we normally follow that the macros. So you know, all of you know thorough about the macros in Excel. All the shortcut keys is connected with the one keystrokes that will be to execute all of the sudden process. But the same changes has to be defined, has to be extended by using the RPA. That is called as the evaluation process. I am just mentioned for macros to intelligent pods. So normally the intelligent pod is nothing but to connect the human works to artificial intelligence works. That is easily to mimics the human works. Normally the system has to identify the works and mimics the works as of the human process. So here I have just mentioned for somewhat the evaluation process. The first one is the cognitive RPA, and the second one is the autonomous RPA, and the third one is unassisted RPA, and the fourth one is assisted RPA. So there will be the four sectors which will be evaluated to connect with the next level of automation process. So here I just mentioned for how the RPA works. So normally you know computer work, you know thorough about it. So what kind of input data you are referring, what analysis data you are referring, and finally you throw the values to the central processing unit, and finally we get over the overall process of the output. The same things will be happen in our RPA, that is called as the logging into applications, entering somewhat of the data, and then the third one is executing the calculation, and the fourth one is completing task, and the fifth one is logging out the process. So in these constraints we are using the RPA process to normally to execute manpower process. So the types of RPA I just mentioned, there will be a different types. There will be three type of approaches is there. One is attended RPA, and the second one is unattended RPA, and the third one is hybrid RPA. So this is what I just mentioned. In unattended RPA, the pods works alongside the human employees. In unattended RPAs, the pods operates independently without human intervention. And the third one is hybrid RPA, the combination of both attended and unattended application process and execution. In key components of RPA tool, there will be a different components. One is pods and orchestras and studio. So there will be the different approaches to connect with the reduce the work of process. So here the pods is nothing but it's a software robots which will be connected with the digital workers to execute the automated process, simply called as the mimicking the human process. Normally the humans are doing somewhat work, that mimicking work also to connect with the pod software. And the second one is development studio to design the environment where develops to create the configuration and etc. And the third one is orchestra or control room, which is totally connected with the centralized management process to deploy all type of workload balance or everything. So this is the benefit of RPA. Normally you think about it, we are having so much of automation, why we are specifically to define RPA sectors. So there will be a different approaches, especially for benefit purpose, accuracy and speed of productivity, cost savings and improved employees and consistency and customer service. The last one is very important in customer service. In traditional couple of years before, we are following some traditional work is there. Normally in banking sector, all the peoples are in queue, the lines, we are maintaining the lines to taking the cash, to withdraw the monies, or everything depends on the teller. But RBA, after getting the RBA, the customer satisfaction is very efficiently to connect by using the artificial intelligence system. In this artificial intelligence systems, to integrate the RBA to improve the cost of savings and everything for the company aspects. That's what all the industry peoples or industry expected peoples are expecting in RBA technologies to involve our industry team or industry of the organization. This is the common RBA use cases I just mentioned. You know something about what kind of usage, especially for in current scenario. So there will be a customer service and finance and accounting and human resources and supply chain managements also involved. So this is what we are using for common RBA use cases. Normally you think about that, what about the traditional versus RBA? Normally the traditional system we are following somewhat the requirements, what kind of requirements we are expecting. In options for the companies with the flexible budget, what kind of budgets we are expecting, and requires more time efforts. Please note at the time you just mentioned, the requires more time to efforts to complete the work, depends on the manpower. And the fourth one is have to change the process in the current system. So this is the overall for traditional automation, where we install the RBA requires no modification in the current IT infrastructure. Whatever you are having, everything will be connected. We have to support to deploy, and finally we execute the data. And then second one is a lower cost implementation, the more efficient options to connect with the number of instant data and eliminate the need of change and current process in the system. So there will be a different tools, RBA tool is there. In most of the companies are expecting, in the placement aspect, number of students are expecting what kind of RBA process and what certification we need to concentrate. I just mentioned some of the tools I just mentioned for your clarification to improve your RBA certification. The first one is the certification UiPath, and second one is automation anywhere, and the third one is Blue Prism, and the fourth one is Microsoft, and fifth one is IBM, and the sixth one is SAP, and seventh one is Juniper Networks and SanDisk, and eighth one is Tungsten's automation, and ninth one is Work Fusion, and 10th one is Automation Edge. So these are the major certification part the most of the industry peoples are expecting to connect with the RBA process. What are the steps we need to identify? Some students and some team members are asking about what level we need to concentrate and what logical connectivities we need to concentrate for the development of the RBA certification. Just to identify the analyze the data, the gather requirements, design, develop and test implementation, and finally monitor the process. So this is what the RBA development process. Normally there will be a three aspect of the process. One is normally we are using the centralized process system. Just we get it the value of input and centralize the data, and finally the output of the value. The same things we are happening in our RBA. The first we design the workflow, what kind of workflow we need to involve, and second one is testing phase, and what kind of testing phase involved, especially for what is your process methods, what technologies you are involved. That's what we are maintaining the testing phase. The third one is deployment of the phase, what kind of deployments we need to connect and what level of output we are expecting. That is what we depend the deployment phase. So these are the 3 points is essential to develop the RBA process. This is what the pod design basic. You know the thorough about the software robotics process. Normally the pod is normally designed for the mimics the human work. Here what kind of logicals we are using and what kind of triggers we involve. Supposed to be you are having the procedures and procedure, what kind of procedures to involve to connect with the somewhat junctures. That's what we are using, the trigger process. And finally, what level of output we are expecting, what is the your process of the rules and the regulations, everything's we connected for logic, triggers and rules. This is what the case studies of RBA banking sectors. You know very about the most of the banking sector is very essential to concentrate the customer satisfaction. So in this junction, the customer satisfaction, the most of the banking are already adopted for the RBA, especially for Habib bank and the cooperative banks and the loan stores, or everything they are concentrating the RBA process. That's what we are using the RBA process for all the involvement of the finance sectors. This is the future entry levels for jobs. In what levels of jobs we are concentrating? Essential skills. First one is technical proficiency, and the second one is logical reasoning, and the third one is certification, and fourth one is future outlook of the process. What is your contribution and what level of the system has to change, and what you are logically involved and connected process, and everything we need to concentrate for the future outlook. So there will be a different approaches. First one is a learn RBA development fundamentals, and second one is sharpen the relevant skills and get relevant certification and work on relevant projects, and next one is develop the portfolio, and finally to apply the RBA developers as a portfolio. So this is the top companies are using the RBA. The most of the companies from the AccentCare healthcare division and the loan store financial services, Walgreens retails healthcare, and Finastra's financial technologies, Carglass automotive, and the Habib Bank Limited, HPL banks, and the cooperative banks are most of the companies, the banking sectors, they are recruiting through the RBA certification persons. So this is what I just mentioned for your connections for RBA and what levels we need to enhance our future perspective of the industry readiness. That's what we are mentioning. Wish you all the very best. Thank you so much.